You may be familiar with the movie Fight Club, starring Edward Norton and Brad Pitt. The author whose book became the movie was in Modesto last night, wrapping up a national tour for his new book.
I really like the idea of the story that exists only as it's being told. They should get something that exists only for the time that they are in that room hearing that story, and that nobody else who didn't make the effort is going to enjoy it. Each generation is allowed to sort of reinterpret archetypes and not just to sort of adopt the archetypes of 100 generations before verbatim. A guy that I knew at the gym, a pediatrician, a very successful pediatrician, was telling me how at the Oregon Health Sciences University, when he was a resident there, they would wait until you'd been awake for about 36 hours. There's huge amounts of sleep deprivation, and they waited for you to lay down for a 10-minute nap. The moment you laid down, they would do this big announcement, you know, Dr. So-and-so to room such and such, stat. And you would run all delirious and sleep deprived through the hospital to get to this isolated room in an area of the hospital that typically wasn't used. But as you burst through the door, the room would be sort of nightmarishly lit from the floor and draped in an odd way. But what you noticed was a woman laying in bed with blood all over her sheets. And as you walked in, she was already screaming. And she goes, "You killed it! You killed it, you f***er! You killed my baby!" And she threw a bloody baby at you, and it would hit you in the chest. And she was still screaming, and you were clutching this bloody, dead baby. And the baby was so realistic because it was one of those recessive babies that they practice CPR on. And the room was draped in this nightmarish way because pretty much every doctor and nurse on staff was hiding in that room. And they were all wanting to see what had happened to them happen to you. And that was their hazing ritual.
We are great big fans of his. We have so much respect for Chuck and what he's done with literature and how he's gotten a bunch of young people to start reading again.
I actually just did a giant project on him like a week ago for my junior year, and did a whole bunch of research and an annotated bibliography and all that fun stuff. It's really surreal. I kind of walked in and it was just like, oh, he's just kind of standing there. He's like 20 feet away. It's really, especially after reading him for so long, it's kind of like there's a person behind the novel.
I would love to say that I had to pull a lot of strings, but quite honestly, all we had to do was ask. He was pleased to stop here on his way back home. We were his only West Coast appearance, and he was gracious enough to say that he would come to Modesto.
And he wants to know if he can order these arms for his paperback tour.
Now, for national and world headlines, here's Ed WILLHIDE.
Thanks, Dan. Roman Catholics nationwide would see changes to familiar prayers under a proposal that goes before American bishops on Thursday. Those changes would be the most sweeping changes to Mass in nearly 40 years. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops will vote on a new translation for the order of the Mass that adheres more closely to the Latin version. The new translation would alter the wording of 12 of 19 texts spoken during worship services.
For all the day's top stories, turn to the Modesto Bee or keep it here at modbee.com.
For home delivery of the Modesto Bee, please call 1-800-776-4233. Visit us online at www.modbee.com.